Patience. Okay,
Thank you.
no worries. So as you can see, there are two different pronunciations.
Extinct.
We want that one, okay? So let's take a look. What does that word mean? Sometimes we can figure out what the word means by reading it in the story, reading the sentence above it and reading the sentence below, and reading the sentence with the word in it. Sometimes we can't do it. So in this case, we have three different definitions. Number one, no longer burning or active. That doesn't sound like anything that we want. Number two, no longer existing. That's what we want, because it gives us a clear example, an extinct animal. So make sure that you write extinct, and then out beside it, you can write no longer existing. So it is no longer a part of this world, no longer living. So if we go to our whiteboard, I can write out the definition beside it, extinct. No longer existing. Okay. So we now know that the animal wasn't just any sheep. The animal he was looking at was supposed to be extinct, meaning it no longer existed in this world. So our next word in bold print is preserved. I say, you say, preserved.
Preserve.
Mm-hmm.
Preserve.
So in the sentence, it says the sheep had died. The sheep had been perfectly preserved by the ice. So I'm going to write that sentence out. The sheep had been perfectly preserved by the ice. What does that mean? What do you think that means, Daniel?
The preserve is it's like look real this preserve is he never something bad
It never gets bad. It never spoils.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
Yeah.
You know how like food.
And the same.
If we keep our food too long, it will spoil.
Yeah. Well.
Unless we preserve it, find a way to keep it fresh. So, how do you keep your food fresh?
Sometimes it's in put in the refrigerator or put in the clean, wash it.
You wash it, clean it.
Wash it, clean it, and maybe put in the refrigerator.
Put it in the refrigerator.
Refrigerator.
Or in the freezer.
In the freezer.
We can put it in a plastic bag. We can put it in a jar. So there are many ways to preserve our food. So the sheep has been preserved. So let's take a look at the meaning of the word preserved. Preserve. Okay. Preserve is a verb. It is an action. Okay. We can press the audio to listen.
Preserve.
Preserve. So we have several examples. To keep safe from injury, harm, or destruction, to protect. That's not the one that we want. Number 2, to keep alive, intact, or free from decay. We're getting very close. It's not alive, but it is, the animal appears to be intact in one piece. Maintain. So let's take a look at number 3. A, to keep or save from decomposition. So that's what we want. To keep from decomposing. Okay. And number B, I'm sorry, letter B, that's the one we were talking about with food. We preserve our food by pickling, by washing, putting it in the refrigerator or in the freezer. So we want to keep or save from decomposition. So that's what happened with the sheep here. It was saved from decomposition. Okay, so we can write that down.
Safe.
Saved from decomposition.
From the composition. Composition.
I'm gonna write it over here for you. Okay. Preserve. Save from decomposition.
Decomposition.
Okay. So our next word in the second column is accumulated. Accumulated.
Accumulated.
Very good. Excellent pronunciation. So the sentence says, glaciers are made up of snow and ice that have accumulated over many years. Wow. What does that mean, accumulated?
Do you have any a lot of stuff?
That's right. Yes, a lot of stuff. Okay, excellent. So I want you to get comfortable writing your own definition, because in real life, that's what you're going to use. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Your own. But we're also going to look at the Webster's definition just to get a concrete example. Okay, so let's go back to our friend. We're going to put in accumulated. Or accumulate. It is a verb.
Accumulate.
Accumulate.
To gather or pile, little by little. So yes, you can say that. To gather or to pile, or use your own definition. Either one of them is fine. And it's also good to look at some other synonyms. Build up, multiply, spread, snowball, gain, increase, enlarge. All of those will be just fine. Any of those work. Okay, let's. Okay, so Daniel, what is your definition for accumulated?
Pues the definition is there's you got a lot of stuff or a lot of things. Maybe they send accumulate a lot of things in your head.
So a collection, to collect.
Collection, things, stuff.
To collect a lot of stuff. So to collect a lot of stuff. So in this case, the stuff would be the snow, right? A lot of snow accumulated. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Our next word, compacted. Compacted.
Compacted.
Compacted. So the sentence says the crystals deep inside the snow pile are crushed and
compacted.
Compacted.
Compacted by the way of the layers on top of them.
Thank you. It is a lot easier when someone else is reading to you and you can type it. Oh, yes. So what does compacted mean?
Compacted.
So we've got it accumulated, and as it is accumulated, as it is accumulating, the snow pile becomes crushed and
It's broken.
not quite, well, crushed, yes. Crushed is broken, yes. Okay. So it's, and then it's
the something heavy.
yeah, that's right. Something heavy makes it compact. So let's take a look at a good definition, because sometimes it's a little, when I think of the word compact, I think of something small like a car. People trying to fat people in a little car. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Good. Okay. You don't want to see it. It's not a pretty sight. Compact to shove in there, get as much as you can in that purse. All that stuff. Okay, let's see.
Compact.
Compact. So full.
Compact.
Filled. So let's see. We have several definitions here. The first one, predominantly formed or filled. So I don't have a lot of water filled in here. I just have a little bit. So it's not filled all the way up. It's down here. So this isn't really composed or made up of a lot of water anymore. Okay, let's take a look at letter C. Occupying a small volume by reason of efficient use of space. So this is not an efficient use of space. I shouldn't save this water. I shouldn't throw it away. What should I do with it?
Drinking.
You're right.
Then now it's empty.
Now it's empty. So now I can throw it away. I made efficient use of the water by drinking it. So we want to occupy a small volume by reason or efficient use of space. And so that's really what's happening. So when we want to compact it, we want to press it together, right? So the snow and ice are being pressed together. Once it's been, you use the word crush. And now it's pressed together. So that's what happens. When all the snow and ice, it crushes and it becomes compacted. And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Um,
And then it just piles up on top of each other. It accumulates. So you have a bunch of compacted snow that forms these really, really tall glaciers. Okay, so you can say to press together. To press together. Excuse me.
let's do it.
Mhm. Okay, our last one is eventually. I say, you say
Eventually.
eventually. It says,
Eventually.
mhm.
Eventually. Eventually, the lowest layers become much thicker than layers close to the surface.
So what does that word mean when you hear eventually in this sentence? What do you think?
There's a, I think, eventually is there's a the ice is accumulate. It's accumulate, and you never see the sheet.
Mm-hmm. You're close. You were very close. Okay, so let's take a look at the word eventually. This word is also used in number 19.
Eventually.
So
Eventually.
in the end, at an unspecified later time. So you can say finally, sometime sooner or later, ultimately someday. So those are all examples of in the end, which is eventually. So make sure that you have in the end or at some point in time. In the end. All right. Well, Mr. Mina, that ends tonight's lesson. Did you have any questions for me?
No, I'm